Hi guys, it is Lanikia. Forgive me for the last video. I don't know why the sound is not working. Thank you for those of you that told me. Even thank you to y'all to put a thumbs down. But no, I don't know why the sound was not working. Because I definitely don't want to put a video out like that was a waste of time. Like, because it takes me 2 hours, well, like two hours and 15 minutes to do the videos because I watch it twice. I take my notes the second time, and then I have to record it, so that takes about 30 minutes because I can't do a short video for nothing. And then on top of that, I have to go and I have to upload it, and my upload is not as fast because I'm on the like AT&T. I used to be on cable and it would go super fast, but now being on AT&T, it goes extremely slow. So it takes about 20 minutes just to upload it. So the last thing I want to do is put a video out, and that just wastes my time. And it wastes yours as well for having to tune in. So I'm sorry about that, but we're gonna go back into this with the Handmaid's Tale. Let's refresh. I watched it yesterday and I had so much energy about it because I really like this episode. So I'm gonna try to keep that same energy, as they say. Okay, so this is season 3, episode 5 of The Handmaid's Tale, called Unknown Caller. And as the episode goes on, we'll figure out why it's called that. Oh, I'm on my phone, by the way. So yeah, y'all gonna have to bear with me. I'm on my phone and everything. So anyways, so it's called Unknown Caller, and as the video goes on, like as the show goes on, we realize why they called it that. So they show Luke and he has Hannah at the protest and everything, right? Which, remember, that's how they found out where Hannah was, because June, I don't think June exactly knew. She knew she had given her to Emily, but she didn't know she was with Luke. So then we find so that's how they found out that Luke had baby Nicole and everything, because they went to that they were at the protest about Chicago. So then we find that June is just talking to herself. She's thinking about how happy she is that her baby got out. So even though she's having to live this situation as a mother, she's proud that she was able to release her baby into freedom, pretty much. So she's like, this is all worth it, and now she just can concentrate on getting Hannah out. But she does miss Luke. We see in this episode as well that she thinks back to the first time, the night they made Hannah, and if she had thought that she was never gonna touch him again, like if she had knew that was the last time she was gonna touch him and everything, she just misses him. She wants to be held. She wants somebody to call her June and not of Joseph. She wants her old life back. So that's what we find in that episode. So then we see June is walking with Of Matthew, and Of Matthew says she prays for her husband, and June is like, that's nice of you. And she says, I pray that he'll return her back to the Waterfords or whatever. And she said, but I'm sure he will, because you wouldn't have married a man that would do that, right? And so June is just like, bite me to Of Matthew, because she don't want to hear that, that she's praying for the baby to come back. She doesn't want to hear that. That kind of negativity. So then we see that June is now, she's at home at the Lawrence home, and you can hear Commander Lawrence yelling for Sienna. Remember, Sienna is one of the Marthas. You can hear he's yelling for Sienna, and then he stops and he says, oh, you look lovely today. Did you do something different with your hair? And so he's talking to Eleanor, and have y'all noticed Eleanor has changed? Like, her whole demeanor from like the last episodes of last season to even the beginning of this season, like after that whole thing came down, when she had to help the Marthas and June get rid of that other Martha, let that other Martha escape, and then they had to bury the one Martha. Her demeanor, like, she's becoming way stronger than what she was. Like, she's not so fragile. But anyway, so she's done something different to her hair, and he notices and everything, and you could tell he wants his wife. Like, I think he realizes that him creating this has really broken her down, and he wants that old Eleanor back. So anyways, he was just commenting on that. And so Eleanor so June is just watching. So then when Eleanor leaves, Lawrence tells June, whatever you're about to ask me, no, the answer is no, because I already know you're about to ask me something. And so June tells him she just wants to know if Luke's going to be safe, because now they know where he is. They know he has the baby. She wants to know if he's safe. And the commander, he says something flippant like, well, heart attacks is a main, all that kind of stuff. And she's like, listen, and you know what I mean. And he says, well, we're all in danger and everything. So she, in other words, I mean, he has something that they want, and that's the only baby that has left. And the whole reason they did Gilead, one of the main reasons is because they wanted those children. That's the whole purpose for the Handmaid. So they're definitely not wanting a Handmaid that had a baby and the baby is gone out of into Canada. The baby's not in Gilead. So, and that's another thing that June was talking about when she was thinking that she was like, all the other handmaids should be resentful towards her, but they're not, because they're so happy that even though it's just one baby out of all those babies, they're just happy that it's the one baby that got out free. Because I think it kind of gives them hope as well that maybe I can get my baby out, So then we see, Serena and Rita they're at like this they're in this building, and they're waiting outside, not outside, but they're inside of the building. But you know how a building has their hallways and all of that kind of stuff. So they're in this large hallway, and Rita says, oh, it's so good to see her, I'm glad she's safe. And Serena was like, well, she's with a stranger, she's glad she's safe, but she's with a stranger. And Rita tells Serena she's a stranger to you. And, because it's like, you don't know Luke, but that's June's husband. And she would never have given her baby away to go to Luke had she, thought that he was, in danger, like if he was dangerous, or he would endanger or harm the baby and everything. So then we see Fred comes outside, and he tells Serena, I want you to come and talk to them. So he brings her into this large room, and it's all of the commanders, and Serena sits down beside Fred, and he tells her, he starts updating her about the baby. He tells her the weight of the baby. They had the doctor records where the baby's been went to the hospital and everything. They say she has a tooth now and everything. And she starts asking them, like, who is the man that has my baby? And they say, is he religious, or does he believe? And they were like, oh, I probably not. But it was like Commander Waterford was almost taking up for him, because he was like, well, I mean, they did baptize their first baby, and I can't even believe they acknowledged that. But they were like, he did have the first baby baptized, and before this was his job, and now of course he's having to live off refugee aid, but he wouldn't have to if y'all hadn't did Gilead and everything. So, but the commander was almost it was almost like he was saying, well, he was taking up for Luke just a little bit, trying to, I guess, soothe Serena about where the baby is. So then Serena starts crying. All the commanders leaves, and Serena's boo-hooing. Well, not boo-hooing, but she cried a little bit. And Fred was like, what you want? Because I thought this was it. I thought you wanted our daughter safe. Because even he's saying, like, she's safe in Canada. So what do you want? And she was like, I did, but it's so hard because I miss her. And I want her to, I want her, but I know I can't, I can't have her and be with her and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, Serena, oh my goodness. So then that scene ends or whatever. So then we see Eleanor tells June, so then the next scene we see Eleanor tells June they're here for you in the parlor. And so June, I think it was Eleanor. Anyways, June goes down, and it's Fred and Serena. And she already knows this is a mess. So they're asking her, they're pretty much asking her, will you please call Luke so we can set up a meeting? And she's like, no, I will not call Luke. So it's Fred, sorry, let me backtrack. It's Fred, Serena, Commander Lawrence, and June in there. And she's like, no, I will not call Luke so you can set up a meeting so you can see the baby. It is over. Like, this is just going to make it worse. Like, she's in safety. And so Serena is like, would you excuse us? So Commander Lawrence and Fred leave. And so it's just Serena and June. And June is like, no, Serena, like that's just gonna make it worse. You don't understand what you're asking me to do, and you don't understand how you're gonna feel afterwards. And Serena's just like, but I just want to say goodbye. Can you please just let me say goodbye? So then June is like, well, what do I get out of it? You get to see her, and plus June is like, I miss her too. So what do I get out of it? You get to see her. What is in it for me? And Serena's like, what do you want? And June says, I want you to owe me. What that means, I don't know. She says, I want you to owe me. So Serena's like, okay. So she's like, okay. So then, so they get all together and they call Luke. Okay, so when they call Luke, they're in the Commander Lawrence's office and they have it recorded and everything, and they, the phone. And June, they bring June in and she sits down at the desk, and she's very stoic when she's doing this because a part of her doesn't want to do this. But I mean, it's not like she really had a choice to do it, because I'm sure they would have found some type of way to make her do this. So then, but anyways, so she gets Luke on the phone. Oh, is Commander Lawrence there? It's the Guardians there. Serena and Fred is there. So they get Luke on the phone. So they call Luke, and Luke, we go to the Canada and we see he's paying for something and everything, and he sees the phone call and he ignores it, because y'all know how you do when you get an unknown caller. You're like, I don't know who this is. Like, if you try to call me unknown, like, I'm never picking it up, and I never check my voice messages as well, so you should probably text me, or and I would say social media, but I don't even check social media like that. Like, I have yeah, so texting me is the best option if you're trying to get a hold of me. But anyway, I digress. It's not about me. But so Luke is just like, he ignores it. So then they call again and they tell June, you got 2 minutes. So they call again and he picks up. So he hears her voice, and Luke, he becomes emotional. Y'all know how I feel about Luke. But I did kind of like this scene because he, you saw that he felt bad that he wasn't able to get her out and Hannah out, and she's having to go through this. They should have left earlier, which y'all should have left earlier. He just feels bad. But June is like, don't you feel bad? Because, she's like, this is not your fault. It's these people around here whose fault it is, and they're having me call you. So she, he tells her he loves her. He asks her, is she okay? Are they mistreating? And she tries to reassure him that she's okay. They're not hurting her. Everything is okay. So then she tells him, I need you to do me a favor. And he was like, anything. What do you need me to do? And she was like, I need you to let them see Hannah to say goodbye and everything. And he's like, no. But she's like, I need you to do that for me, Luke. And he's like, okay. He cannot come. She can come and she can see Hannah and say goodbye, but he's not allowed to come. Excuse me. And so they're like, okay. So she got to tell him she loves him, and then the call ends and everything. So that's pretty much how that scene went. So then, when it's all over, Luke is emotional on the line, but June is keeping all of her emotions in check. Whatever she's feeling, it's like you could visibly see that she's upset, but she will not let her emotions go. And so Commander Lawrence brings her a tissue, and she won't take it. All she tells him is, may I be dismissed, sir? And he's like, yes, you may, or what. He's like, it's awkward. Because he created all this, but so she's leaving the room, and then Serena is like, God bless you. And sometimes, sis, you just gotta be quiet. Like, that was uncalled for. She was like, God bless you and everything. And sometimes the best thing to do is just say nothing at all. And that was one of those moments, Serena, where you didn't have to say anything. Let me go back to my notes, y'all, because I'll be getting all ahead of myself. Anywho, so then the next scene, we see June go upstairs, and she's upset, and I don't even think she broke down in that scene. I think you could see that she wanted to be upset and everything, but she has such this is rage building, because she has such a reign on her emotions that it's like she's bottling it all in, and it's fueling her. And I don't know what's gonna happen in the end, but if June did like a Emily, where she snapped and was did something like Emily did, I could see that, because she's like everything that's happening to her all season long, she's just sucking it in. Like even last week's episode, was it last week or the week before episode, where the commander embarrassed her in front of all the commanders about, you know, women being useful. It's all just like she's just holding it all in, her rage and everything, and her, you know, she's just filled with anger, but she's not letting it go. I don't even think she's crying like that anymore. I remember last season, I got sick of June crying like that, but she was pregnant, so we're gonna blame it on the hormones. Let me get back to the episode. So then June goes upstairs and she won't let, you know, she doesn't let her emotions go. So then we see Luke tells Moira, it's just a quick little scene where Luke tells Moira he spoke to June, and she was like, how did she sound? And he was like June. And they're just both sitting there in shock, because that's her best friend, that's his wife, and like she's right there, like but they can't get to her. That's just crazy when you think about that. Like, that's crazy. So then we see that June, okay, so then Eleanor comes to June and she tells June, I know that was hard for you because, you know, I know that had to be emotional for you and very hard. And it's like Eleanor understood what June was feeling, and June was like, yes, it was. It, you know, it didn't go as I imagined. Because, you know, I'm sure she has replayed this in her head a million times, what she would do if she ever just got the chance to speak to Luke. She was like, it wasn't what I imagined. And, you know, she's just talking about her love for Luke. And so Eleanor says when she first got with Lawrence, that he used to make her cassette tapes. You know how back in the day you recorded on the radio and everything, your favorite songs and all that kind of stuff, and you made a mixtape and you sent it to the person you were liking and everything like that. Or you sent it to your friend, you did like road trips and all. Anyway, so he used to do that for her when they were in college. And she's really saying, like, I miss that Lawrence. I want that man back. Like, this new man right here, I don't know him and I don't really like him. I don't want this man. And so June tells her, you have to hold on to the sliver of whatever you have. Like, if just to make it through. So if remembering those cassette tapes, you know, of what he was back then, if that's what's keeping you to make it each day, hold on to that. And it was just a nice moment between Eleanor and June. And quiet as it's kept, that's who June really need. Like, if you're going to have an ally, I think she thinks Serena is her ally, and she wants like the Commander Lawrence, and she wants Fred. But Eleanor, to me, if she gets strong enough, would be a great ally, because who's gonna go? Like, the women would probably follow her, because look at who her husband is. Like, he's one of the tops of everything. So that would be the perfect ally. And he loves his wife, so she could maybe sway him or whatever to being a better person. But anyways, so then we see that June finds the cassette tapes and she starts listening to music, and then they fade over to Serena getting ready for her trip, and she tells Rita, she hands Rita, I guess it's a necklace, it's something like a keepsake that her father had given to her, and she says, you look at this, you think she would like it. And at first Rita didn't want to take it, but she kind of pushes it towards her, and Rita takes it. And it says, for this child I have prayed, because they're not supposed to read, but so it says, for this child I have prayed. And Rita says, will you give her a kiss for me and everything? And she says, yes. And so then we see that there was wrapped in like paper sack, or like a brown paper sack type material. There's something on there, and it's for Luke. And so I guess June has sent that, and Serena's like, what is it? And Rita said, hey, it didn't have my name on it. I'm just telling you. And so as they're talking, Commander Waterford comes in, and so Serena hides it. So then we see Serena goes to the plane. I'm going to fast forward, because they did it in slow-mo about her getting on the plane, and then it wasn't nothing. She just got on the plane and she went to Canada. That's all it was. He didn't go with her because Luke said no. So they get to the plane and they go to Canada. Woo, excuse me. And they're getting off the plane, and what's his name? I can't find in my notes, but I think it's Tillo or something. He's there. But remember, he was there last season, because he is the one who told Serena, I got a ticket for you in Hawaii if you want to go. And she didn't want to do it. because she wanted her baby, and he remember he told her, that's not your baby. Like, what are you doing? That's not your baby. You're too brilliant of a mind to be somebody's wife. That's like 1800s wife or whatever. And but anyways, so he's there, and she was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, I'm making sure this all goes smoothly. So she tells the guardian, she tells him, I'm gonna go with him. And he's like, Commander Waterford. And she was like, I speak for the commander in his absence. Go. She's pretty much telling him, you're not coming with us. So she goes with she goes with him, and he tells her, we're going to get in this car, and then we're going to trade cars, and we're going to go to this meeting spot. And she was like, that's not what it was said. And he was like, Luke does not want to meet you in private. He wants it to be a public setting, which I don't blame Luke. So it's a public setting, and he was like, we brought you some clothes so you can blend in. And he tells her, well, I still got that plane ticket available for you. But anyway, so Serena and Luke finally meet each other. So Serena has to take a moment to gather herself because she sees Nicole for the first time. And I don't know how long it's been, but she sees her for the first time. And so then she's all emotional and everything. So Luke, she finally goes to speak to Luke, and she reaches out to shake his hand, and she's like, F you. Luke was hostile. Yes, he was. But I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Here is a woman, that she helped have your wife raped. This is not her child, but she's acting like, oh, that's my baby and everything. She's here, they let her come, but June can't come, and he's hostile towards her because everything represents Gilead and the loss of his family. So anyways, they're talking, they're going back and forth, and Luke is not budging at all. And she's like, will you please raise her to know her mother loves her? And he was like, I'm going to tell her a story about her real, her mother, June, who loved her so much that she let her go and got her here. And the testimony she went through, you're not going to be a part of her life. She's not going to know anything about you except the type of, what happened to her mother or whatever. And she was like, I just want, that's not, and then they start talking some more. And Luke said, she was like, she's my daughter, and I want her to have the gift that I told you about earlier. She was like, I want her to have this. And he was like, I'm not giving that to her. And she's like, he's like, this isn't your child. And she was like, it's not yours either. So biologically doesn't matter, because, if you still love that child. And he was like, well, what did your husband have a part to play in this? Because truth be told, he had nothing to play. But she can't say that. So then Luke, Luke won't take it. And she tells him, you need to understand that I protected your wife. And he said, what did you say? And the man, Tulo, is it Tulo? I don't know. He was like, I think we should wrap this up. And Luke was like, yeah, but Luke takes it because he's like, maybe, I don't know why he took it. I don't know why her saying that y'all tell me. Sometimes this episode, sometimes stuff happened in this episode, and I try to get deep with it so I can give y'all, but sometimes I'm just like, I just want to watch the episode and not have to think deep about what is going on. But anyway, so her saying that her telling Luke, you need to understand I protected your wife, made him go ahead and take it. I don't understand how that would make anything okay. You protected her, but it was all for selfish reasons. But anyways, so he went ahead and took it and everything, and he does eventually allow her to hold Nicole. Probably not the best idea, but he does allow her to hold Nicole and everything. And she leaves, and as she's leaving, the man offers her to go to Hawaii again, and she's like, my home is in I have a home, I know where it is. He was like, my home is in Atlanta. She was like, well, maybe one day you'll go back to that. But she's talking to him, but her mind is gone. She's thinking about Nicole and how she's having to leave. So she goes into the bathroom to change back into her commander's wife's clothes and everything, and she just has a breakdown in the bathroom. She's throwing things, she's crying, she's having a mental breakdown. And as she's doing that, we see the package that she had for Luke fall out. So I'm like, well, is she? Because the whole time I was thinking, is she gonna give it to him or not? So anyways, she gets back on the plane, and when she's on the plane, we see that the man has slipped her a message and a phone, and it tells her, and if you need me, or if you, it pretty much he's telling her, if you decide you change your mind and you want to leave, here's a way, I'm giving you a means to contact me. And so now, remember last time he gave her, was it a cigarette lighter, or it was a card or something, and she threw it away. This time she didn't throw that away, and so she kept it, and she didn't say anything, so there's that. So then she gets off the plane, and then Commander Waterford is like, "How was it?" And she was like, I got to hold her. I got to say goodbye, and it's over now. It's over now. And he said it doesn't have to be. And I was like, oh my gosh, I knew it was not gonna be this simple with this baby. I knew it was not gonna be this simple. So then, she tells her she was perfect. So then we see of Matthew and June. Of Matthew is standing there. They're at the grocery store. You know how they go on their walks and they're at the store. And of Matthew is just standing there, and June comes up to her, and she snaps at June. And June is like, because Matthew is always so pleasant. And then Matthew says, I'm late. And the way she said it and the way she looked, I was like, okay, so she's not all into this like she's been pretending. So Matthew was like, I'm late. And so June was like, oh my gosh, what do like, what you gonna do? Like, no, June was like, blessed be the fruit or something. Like, but of Matthew you could tell she's upset. She was like, June is like, so you're pregnant? And Matthew was like, again. And then June is like, so the commander must be happy. And she's like, I didn't tell him. I haven't told him because of baby Nicole and everything. So June is looking at her like, what are you going to do? And that's when you start seeing that Matthew is not into this, as she says. Because remember last episode, when they were doing the baptism, you could see the longing in her eyes when she looked at her child. And I think that's why she constantly says things, is because she's trying to convince herself. She feels hopeless, and that's her way of trying to convince herself. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So that's why she says, she's always so positive, and yeah, blessed be the fruit and praise be, because, she feels bad. But she apologizes to June. She says, she told her, I'm happy that, your baby got out. She pretty much is telling her, I'm happy your baby got out. And so Matthew was thinking, like, I'm having enough. They really are breeding of Matthew. Like, I know you see, like, and that's crazy to think of a human being, like, being like that. But they really are just, like, using her as, like, a breeding machine. Like, she has one baby, and then they send her. I don't know if she stayed with the same commanders, but she has one baby. They send her to somebody else. She has a baby, and they send her to somebody. Like, that is horrible. That, like, who in the right mind would think of that? Like, who? Well, it's been thought of before, child. But anyways, as they're talking, June sees that one guard. He's always the one. He was the one on the last episode where she found out that Nicole had Luke. So she already knows, oh my gosh, this is about me. So he takes her. He tells her, come with me, of Joseph. So she gets in the van. So then we see that Luke has the package that June gave him. And we find out it was the cassette tapes. So he went and bought a Walkman. I didn't even know they still made them. But he went and bought a Walkman, and he's listening to the cassette tapes. And June just really, she tells him everything. I was wondering how they were going to do this whole thing with Luke and Nick. But she tells them, I want you to move on for Hannah. I want you to find a new life. At this point, I think June knows she's going to die here. But before she dies, she is determined to get Hannah out of Gilead. So she tells him, I want you to, move on, find a new life. You have to do that for Hannah. Everything is for Hannah. And she thanks him for taking the baby, and to protect the baby. And then she admits that that baby Nicole, and she tells him her real name is Holly, was made out of love. That she fell in love, she fell in love with Nick, and she had to find some kind of way to survive. And she tells him, you've met Nick, he's the driver. She fell in love with him, and so Holly is love. And it is what it is. Like, she just explains everything. And I know Luke is probably upset about it, but I think a part of him is, I don't think he'll be resentful because he knows that's what, she just had to survive. She had to survive. If it wasn't she might not have made it if it wasn't for that. So, it just is what it is. And she explains that to him on the cassette tapes as well. So then we see, but earlier I missed this part, but we see that on June hears music going when she's at the Lawrence house, and she's Eleanor and Joseph are listening to Commander Lawrence are listening to cassette tapes like they used to. They sitting down and they're listening to cassette tapes that he made her when they were back in college and everything. So I guess Eleanor is just gonna try to hold on to that part of happiness. So then we see, okay, so June gets out of the van and Aunt Lydia is there. And Aunt Lydia is just so excited. And June is like, what's going on? And she says, aren't you a nosy Nancy or something like that? So then June goes and they got her new boots. They got her a new little hat thing. I don't know what it's called. They got her a new dress. The dress, not for nothing. Like if you were singing in a choir or something, the new dress is kind of cute. But, compared to what she had on, because what she had on, you looked at it and was like, well, she does look a little worn down. But they put her on the new dress and everything, and so she goes out and there's a camera crew, and the Waterfords are there, and she's like, Serena, what did you do? Because Serena's just sitting there, and Serena won't even look at you. She won't even look at her. And so then Commander Waterford starts talking about baby Nicole was kidnapped by a deranged woman, and she's in Canada, and we're asking for Canada, the Canadian embassy, I don't know, to please send her back. And so anyways, June realizes that they're wanting Nicole to come back, and she is furious. Like you could hear the commander talking, but it starts like, when you're watching a scary movie and the person's voice gets deeper and slower and everything, that's how she starts hearing it. And I didn't just realize that. So that's how she starts hearing it. And so she's furious. Like she's sitting there extremely upset. Like she's livid, and you could see the rage. And so they pan to her, and then we see her like looking down, and then we see her eyes come up, and she starts looking at us in the camera, and she's just full of rage. And I was like, this girl is a ticking time bomb. Like you're not gonna be able to keep doing much more to her before she finally explodes. And I don't know who's gonna be in her path when it finally happens. I don't know how this show is gonna turn out. I have no clue what's gonna happen, but I'm here for it. And so that's the recap. Sorry about the earlier video, but we got it done. I'm having to use my phone, so it is what it is, guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to see you next week.